And the more of a desire you have, the more likely you're going to do good, and it's going to be good. But but anyway, let's see. Number 5. Uh, do I have an obligation? Uh, there's some things that we have a moral. We talked about number 1 on the morals. We have a moral obligation. But if we realize, let's see, what was it? We have an obligation. Uh, do we really have to do this? Now, for me, in the way of manners and being manly, the obligation thing, there's a lot of times I do things that really I don't need to do, but I feel the obligation. Especially nowadays, opening the doors for the ladies. I am still shocked. I help the women in the car, out of the car, open doors for them, pull the chairs out and stuff like this. I'm shocked how many women and the guys stand around watching, and they feel like I'm not obligated to do this. And so obligations are different to different people. When you were younger, maybe you didn't feel like the obligation, but as you get older, you feel like you have the obligation, especially towards others. Well, I guess it's obligations for yourself. There's things you do for yourself also. And so obligations is something I have to think about. I mean, do I really have to do it? And if it's a big obligation, then my own personal desires that we talked about will have to be pushed back a little bit, and so I can get done with my obligations. And now obligations, this is what's good. This is why a lot of this stuff that I'm talking about, it helped me, it reminds me how much I miss not having a spouse. Not having, I had a good woman. And I could turn to her on these obligations and ask her, hey, am I obligated to do something about this? I mean, I set rules. One of the rules is I don't do funerals. I'm not a funeral kind of guy. So she knows I draw the line on funerals. But there will be birthday parties, weddings, get-togethers, stuff like that. And am I obligated to go to these things? And some I am obligated to. And seeing she's got I thought all women, women and men are so different. And she would evaluate how well we know these people, and am I obligated to go to this particular event, or stuff like that. But and I would trust her to let me know which ones I'm obligated to go and which one. Man, I'd much rather go run around, go do this, go do that, than to go to that gathering, because I'm not a gathering kind of guy. But there are times that I've got an obligation to do that. And a lot of times, there's a lot of things that I do for an obligation. Now I'm getting ready. I'm setting up a meeting with the local sheriff, and you think I really want to go see him? I don't, but I am obligated. He has to know me and who I am and what I represent, in case we have an encounter in the future. So, and I've made videos talking about that, and I've done it with the Tulsa police and sheriff, and then they ended up stopping me, and they didn't know who I was, and I kept telling them, get a hold of your boss, and there's a reason why I am the way I am, and they know that, and I'm no threat, so just back off. So, but I am obligated to do certain things to certain people, certain places, and stuff like that. So obligation is a big thing that does need to be considered. Okay, number 6. Do I have the abilities? Wow. Okay. A lot of times you might be obligated to do something, but if you don't have the abilities, does that mean that you don't have the obligation? No. You, if you're obligated, you are obligated. And let's see. It's as if I noticed when I was a kid. I told you there was racial problems, and I always wondered these adults would stand around when 6, 8, 10, 20, these racially charged individuals would be attacking me, and the adults didn't get involved. For some reason, they felt they had no obligation to help me. And I really thought that was amazed. And then when I got older, I realized, well, maybe they didn't have the abilities. Well, as being an old person, all you got to do is, hey, what are you doing? Stop that. Get the hell away. You know what I mean? They could just talk, but they didn't feel they had the obligation. So, they didn't feel like they had the, they didn't have the obligation and they didn't have the abilities. That's why I try to learn as much as I can so I have abilities. Now, I may not have the exact abilities I need in all circumstances, but that doesn't really make that much of a difference, because once you start accumulating abilities, the next thing you know, your self-confidence really builds. And with strong self-confidence, you can make things happen, whether you have the abilities or not. And the reason is, when you're making things happen, you will know who to call, who will get a hold of that does have those abilities. And you can back them up, or they can back you up, even if they don't have those abilities. So, but abilities is a big thing. Well, all of this stuff is a big thing. But when you have the abilities, and you don't need all the abilities to do something. That's why I'm saying, if I know, I don't even know what kind of number to give you, because it depends on the desire. If I got a lot of desire and I have maybe 10 or 20% of the abilities, I'm ready to get after it. So, and if I really don't have much of a desire and I only have 90% of the abilities, well, then I'll say, well, I just can't do it. I just can't do it. And why? Because I don't have the desire. So that's why all these different steps all work together. And abilities, like I say, is what we should be working on now. That's why I say the 3-man militia, learning all this kind of cool stuff, it opens up all kinds of doors. And even if it's not the 3-man militia, the more you do, the more you share, it's going to help you out more and more all the time. Okay, now let's see. It's abilities. Number 7. What else will I need to learn? Okay, I kind of covered a little bit of that. But like I say, I have to think, do I know 90% of what I need to do to get this thing done? Or maybe I know 100%. I don't know. Depends on the circumstances. What kind of what kind of situation am I trying to get figured out here? So, and I say, I will need, do I need, 10%? These are decisions you have to figure out what it is. And I say, if I want to do something, I'm not a computer kind of guy. And I know when I'm getting into something, I only know, 60% of what I need to know to make this thing happen? Do I want to learn that other 40% in the computers to make it happen? So that's what I'm saying. You got to figure all this stuff out for yourself. We are all individuals, and what is it that you want to learn? Do you really want to learn? And I think that's one of the advantages I do have over many people is I've got the desire to learn. And that's why, I give them hell the school system. And that's because they're more of a brainwashing kind of thing. They want you to memorize things and stuff like that. Learning how to learn is not one of the things that they push in the school system. They don't want you to learn. They want you just to do what you were told. And that's why I'm saying you have to... It's a lot easier when you want to learn. Okay, let's see. Number 8. Will I need help? Some things I will try to do on my own, because it's a lot easier to do it by yourself than it is to try to call in help. That's why my militia, 3-man militia, why isn't a 20-man or a 100-man militia? Try to get that many people together. It's not that easy. So it's the same thing. It's a lot easier. Well, I'll do it myself. It's a lot easier to be like that. But I realize a lot of the stuff that I do would be valuable for a lot of people. So I try to share the stuff that I do. That's why I'm always offering people, come on down. You can travel with me. We can run around. We can have all kinds of fun. And that's because I know you're going to learn valuable things. And so the idea is I don't need to help. I'm to the age where I can do most anything. And if I can't, I'll just pay somebody to do it. But that's not the point. That's not the point of life. It's not the point that we want to really be thinking about. We have an obligation, at least the way I feel, we have an obligation to other people. And I can't, there's certain things I can do and certain things I can't do, but one of the things I can do is do things. So if you want to do it, then come on, let me show you how to do it, or we can learn together, because we're building a relationship. So there's a way this stuff works out. Okay, so if you need help. Okay, number 9. How will I get this help? Now,